top stories. Akila Byron Nisbet appointed senator in National Assembly. Brazil man freed after 20 years held by family. And President Duterte claims meetings in China were about trade and not security. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Wednesday, October 26, 2016. I am Shaira Flanders. Nationally, Akila Byron Nisbet was appointed senator in the National Assembly at a short but significant ceremony at Government House on the morning of October 26th. His Excellency the Governor-General Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, GCMG, CVOQV, JP, administered the oath of office and oath of allegiance to the newly designated senator in the presence of top government officials, including Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, Premier of Nevis, and the Senior Minister, the Honorable Vance Amory, Attorney General the Honorable Vincent Byron Jr., Senator Honorable Wendy Phipps, Cabinet Secretary Mrs. Josephine Huggins, National Hero Dr. the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Sir Kennedy Alphonse Simmons, father of Senator Nisbet, Terence Byron, and mother Althea Byron, Alexis Nisbet, husband, and sister Caramel Byron. Mrs. Nisbet holds a Master's of Science degree in Computer Information System from Quinnipiac University in Connecticut and a Bachelor's of Science in Information Systems Management from the University of South Florida. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris will be updating the nation on matters of national interest and engaging media representatives during his monthly press conference in the Parliamentary Lounge of Government Headquarters. He is expected to give updates on the national matters across different sectors, then field questions from the media representatives present. The press conference is scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. and will be broadcast live on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM and ZIZ Television Channel 5 and streamed via the World Wide Web at www.zizonline.com. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force's Violent Crimes Unit is currently investigating a shooting incident that occurred in the St. Johnson region. Reports indicate that a 39-year-old male was shot dead around 4 p.m. on Tuesday, October 25th. Reports also indicate that an unidentified female also sustained a gunshot wound to the lower region of her body. Investigations also revealed that the man was shot while he was inside a white car identified as rental RA966. According to reports, one person of interest is currently in custody with relation to the shooting incident. Investigators from the Violent Crimes Unit, the Criminal Investigations Department, and technicians from the Forensic Services Unit canvassed the scene for evidence. The police is appealing to anyone who may have been in the area or to anyone who may have seen suspicious activity relating to this incident to contact the Violent Crimes Unit at 465-2241 or Crime Stoppers, the anonymous hotline at 1-800-8477. The investigation continues. Meanwhile, the Violent Crimes Unit is also investigating a shooting incident in Otley's Village, which resulted in the death of a 20-year-old male resident of Keon. Initial investigations revealed that the victim was shot sometime after 7 p.m. on Tuesday, October 25th, just a few hours after the St. Johnson shooting incident. Reports indicate that the young man was shot by an unknown assailant or assailants at the junction of Big Bow Alley and the Island Main Road. Investigators from the Violent Crimes Unit, the Criminal Investigations Department, and the technicians from the Forensic Services Unit have canvassed the scene for evidence. The police is also appealing to anyone who may have been in the area or to anyone who may have seen suspicious activity relating to this incident as well to contact the Violent Crimes Unit at 465-2241 or Crime Stoppers, the anonymous hotline at 1-800-8477. The investigation on this matter is currently ongoing. A formal meeting of Cabinet chaired by Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris took place on Monday, October 24th. Cabinet was updated on the recently concluded 86th meeting of the ECCB Monetary Council as well as the immigration operation that took place this past weekend. Director General of the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, or SKNIS, Lesroy Williams, in a post-cabinet briefing, spoke about the update given by Prime Minister Harris on the meeting of the Monetary Council.
Prime Minister Harris shared information on the substantive issues that are before the Council. He is the lead on a committee comprising 3 countries, namely St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Antigua and Barbuda. The special committee has been set up to review the Banking Act and address concerns that the region is faced with respect to de-risking and correspondent banking issues.
It was further revealed by Mr. Williams that Cabinet approved the policy for the qualification of fractional ownership for properties under the Citizenship by Investment program. Cabinet also considered the issue of land areas for use as cemeteries in some areas.
New season begins Monday, 7th November.
And on to the regional scene. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has said a vote by the opposition-controlled National Assembly to put him on trial is meaningless. Last week, electoral authorities enraged opposition leaders by blocking an attempt to launch a recall referendum to remove him from office. Al Jazeera's Daniel Schwemmler has that story.
The opposition-led National Assembly said President Nicolas Maduro has violated Venezuelan democracy, and they voted after an often fiery debate for what they called a political trial. They want him to appear before them next Tuesday. The call met with almost immediate rejection.
The National Assembly has been transformed into a corner of evil and bitterness. It's a useless assembly for the interests of our country and our people. It's an assembly with a sole purpose, to hurt Venezuela. Let me tell you, in Venezuela there hasn't been a parliamentary coup, and we will not allow any kind of parliamentary coup.
Nicolas Maduro has just returned from a 4-day trip during which he met the Pope. Heeding his call for dialogue with the opposition, he announced talks with the opposition on Sunday.
This assembly needs to take a step away from the crisis, take a step away from Maduro's autocracy, and use the hand of the people to give an institutional response so that politics wins out, so that constitution wins out, and so that we are not at the mercy of Maduro's awfulness.
Regional bodies such as the Organization of American States, Mercosur and UNASUR have expressed their concern at the rising tension in Venezuela and are also urging dialogue. The opposition coalition is angry that last week the government suspended a recall referendum they were organising to try to remove President Maduro from office ahead of scheduled elections. The Electoral Commission said names of dead voters were on the registers. The opposition has meanwhile urged supporters onto the streets across the country on Wednesday in what they're calling the takeover of Venezuela. Growing numbers are angry at what they say is Maduro's mishandling of the economy, which suffers rampant inflation and growing shortages of basic food items. Daniel Schwemmler, Al Jazeera.
Brazilian police have rescued a man who neighbors said had been held in captivity by his own family for more than 20 years. The 36-year-old was found by chance during an unrelated anti-drug raid in a poor area of the city Guarulhos. Police said he was malnourished and had signs of mental health problems. According to BBC reports, neighbors say the man was an outgoing student who was regularly beaten by his stepmother, allegedly before he suddenly disappeared at the age of 16. The man has been identified as Armando Bezerra de Andrade. He was taken to a local hospital in the southeastern city, and police say he was unable to speak. According to the BBC, images of the room where the man was found showed only a bed and a dirty toilet and stated that even the walls had chains. Reports indicate that there was no one else in the house when the police stormed it. Neighbors said the man's father, stepmother and her son were living in the house for years. Mr. Andrade's fathers later went to a police station and told officers that the victim had fled the house when he was a teenager. He said he returned last week asking to be kept by the family in the room because he was, quote, a drug user. Police said the father, who was not arrested, was being charged with false imprisonment. The investigation continues. And onto the international scene. Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte is insisting that his visit to China last week was focused specifically on trade. Here's more.
CNN reports Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte sought to reassure neighbors and allies Wednesday after his apparent cozying up to China. He insisted that his state visit to Beijing a week ago was focused on trade, not security, and also warned that he would not be a doormat for the international community. In a speech to business leaders at the Philippines Economic Forum in Tokyo during an official visit to Japan, he said, "You know, I went to China for a visit, and I would like to assure you that all there was economics." Duterte added that the country was mandated by its constitution to adopt an independent foreign policy.
That I will pursue an independent foreign policy. I want, maybe in the next 2 years, my country freed of the presence of foreign military troops.
He insisted that the Philippines was an independent, sovereign nation and was beholden to no other government. In a slam to the United States, he said, "That's what America wants me to be, a dog barking for the crumbs of their favor."
All presidential candidates argue about taxes, but in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, Donald Trump's candidacy has made it very personal. Whoever gets elected needs to look beyond personal tax matters to make some of the world's biggest companies pay more. CCTV's Owen Farklaw explains why.
There's usually nothing like the word tax to turn you off an election, but this one is different.
I pay hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes, but as soon as my routine audit's finished, I'll release my returns. I'll be very proud to.
Donald Trump's refusal so far to divulge exactly how much he's paid breaks a presidential candidate tradition that goes back to Richard Nixon in the 1970s. Tax experts think his losses of nearly $1 billion from failed casino ventures helped him avoid taxes legally for as long as 20 years. US companies are also under scrutiny for the way they do business overseas, as Apple recently discovered when it was ordered to reimburse the Irish government $14.5 billion in illegal tax breaks. That $14 billion is pocket change when we look at this globally. American companies alone are believed to have $600 billion stashed away in tax havens. Developing countries may have as much as $12 trillion in assets that should be taxed. That's more than 2/3 of the annual US economic output. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have different methods for preventing US companies from parking their profits overseas. Trump says he'll try to encourage the likes of Apple to bring those profits back to the US with a one-off 10% tax. He'll also reduce business taxes to 15% and reduce personal income rates. Hillary Clinton says she'll close special tax loopholes and impose an exit tax on any US companies who want to shift their operations overseas. She's also going after the rich, imposing higher taxes for anyone earning more than $5 million a year. It's unclear what these tax plans would do for US debt, but the most recent independent study found Trump would add trillions to the debt pile, while Clinton would reduce it. Owen Fairclough, CCTV, Washington.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy. Winds are light from the north-northeast at 6 miles per hour. Seas are moderate with waves reaching 5 feet. Skies today and tonight will be partly cloudy with a good chance of some widely scattered showers developing. Sunset today will be at 5:42 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:07 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Shaira Flanders. Have a good day.